If you read books on business, you know that one of the most important pieces of advice that you can get is that you need to believe in yourself and your ideas. Without such self-confidence, figures like Steve Jobs or Bill Gates might never have made it past the initial difficulties and failures that their companies faced. But there's obviously a limit to the amount of self-confidence you ought to have. Consider the following case. Billy McFarland was an ambitious teenager and a self-described serial entrepreneur who started and sold 3 companies before he even graduated from his prestigious private East Coast high school. After dropping out of college to become the CEO of his own company, which eventually failed, he made connections with rich and powerful benefactors and started an exclusive social network for millennials in New York. As part of the marketing for this network, McFarland convinced his investors to fund a luxury music festival called Fyre on a tropical island, even though he had no experience putting on such events. The festival was a complete disaster, with McFarland failing to get even the most basic infrastructure in place before attendees arrived. The debacle was recently the subject of a full documentary on Netflix, and one of the most striking features of the film is to watch McFarland operate. In the midst of chaos, he's able to convince investors to keep pouring millions of dollars into his project, even as his staff remains entirely in the dark until the whole thing falls apart. The question then that immediately arises is what differentiates those who rationally maintain self-confidence in the face of great risks and those who do so irrationally? Now, it's not an easy question to answer, but it is important. If we don't have a rough idea of what virtues characterize the rationally self-confident, we won't know who to trust or when to trust ourselves. Philosophers, of course, have a great deal to say about these questions, as do social psychologists who study cognitive biases. In fact, one major research project of the 21st century has been to try to characterize, as carefully and comprehensively as possible, what intellectual virtues one needs in order to live a responsible and well-ordered life.